Can our faith impact our buying decisions and the manner in which we show up at work? I'll return to that probing and critical question in just a moment. But first, here's something I want all of us to consider for appropriate context. According to my friends over at Deloitte, 74% of American leaders are increasingly focused on transparency and trust as core components of organizational clarity and a chief driver of overall organizational success. Meanwhile, Deloitte also says that 92% of today's American CEOs agree on one thing. They must embrace the idea of adaptability at unprecedented levels in order to cultivate success, and they cite clarity as one of the main drivers in order to achieve that very goal. And now, let's return to the idea of faith in business, at work, and in life. And for that, I want to bring in an old trusted advisor on the subject. And that's why, my friends, I'm delighted to introduce an old friend into the conversation in my buddy Mike Harts. He's a trucking industry professional turned motivational speaker and brand strategist who believes that faith and inclusion are key motivators in order to experience prosperity both in the office, at home, and in your faith-based community. He brings to the table a degree in both theology and communications and offers people a practical approach to helping people accomplish their highest destiny and calling in life. He sees it as his God-given obligation to live each day as if it's his last. And now he coaches schools, churches, organizations, and ordinary people to help turn their aspirations into reality. And he joined me this week to tell me more. I'm Kevin McShann. Let's have this conversation. I'll take a moment to welcome you back to the show, buddy. It's great to see you on this Saturday morning, and thanks so much for being here.
Yes, you too. Thank you, Kevin.
Absolutely. Now, Mike, I know that you've had a very big sort of career transition and period, buddy, when you're doing a little bit of speaking and life coaching, all about clarity, buddy. So tell me about what you've been up to and what you want people to know, my friend.
Yeah, so me and my sister work for a company. She's the founder and CEO of the Memo LLC, which is all about diversity and inclusion. And she's going through a big transition herself to the general public. She just came out with another book, Talk to Me Nice. Check it out, mendaharts.com. It's an amazing book about the workplace. And I've worked in that company for many years. And now, as many of my audience knows, that I do a lot of speaking, preaching, and pastoring. So I'm doing a lot more of that now, and I'm excited for what's to come, and I'm excited for what I'm about to do in the future. But yeah, that's why I'm on the podcast with you to share with everybody, a lot of my speaking and a lot of my coaching and things like that. So I'm really happy and excited.
Absolutely. And But just before we dive into what you've been up to on a more granular level, my friend, I'm also curious to ask you about your thoughts on, how diversity, equity, and inclusion has gone over a little bit under a little bit of a makeover in terms of perception, and why do you think DE&I is still an important conversation to have, my friend?
Yeah, I think it's an important conversation because I believe a lot of companies shifted toward that. After the George Floyd incident in Minnesota and in the United States here, a lot of companies shifted toward that, and you saw a lot of companies come toward the Black Lives Matter movement, or at least speak it and give a lot of lip service. Now that it's not as popular in the public eye, a lot of companies have shifted away. So now you start to see companies who are really about it still step up. And that's the companies that we have to support, the companies who are still about, because DEI is simply inclusion. It's simply diversity. It's simply equity. It's simply, diversity, equity, inclusion is very simple and it's in the terminology. And we have to understand it's not some radical idea to not be racist. It's not some radical idea to not be prejudiced. It's not some radical idea to include people of different backgrounds and skin colors and races. It's not. It's just not this idea. When we get into the micro level of it, how we approach it, and people's different religious beliefs and people's different beliefs as far as that's a different conversation. But generally, diversity, equity, inclusion is about treating people good. It's about treating your fellow man or your fellow woman good. It's about smiling at your neighbor, no matter their skin color, no matter their background. And I think we all need a little bit of diversity, equity, inclusion in our lives, because it's about simply treating someone good, no matter where they come from, no matter what they do, treating someone good. And that's something I think we can all get behind. But when we make it this extreme issue of doing this and that, I think that's when we get off into the woods. And we have to learn to treat people correctly. And I think people coming in with that framework of DEI is a lot better than simply saying, no, it's too extreme. What's too extreme? Treating your fellow neighbor good? I don't think that's extreme at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And Mike, I know part of the work that you do now is helping people communicate with clarity, my friend, and really help them create brands that are intentional and are filled with clarity, my friend. So, in your view, what does it mean to communicate with clarity, buddy?
Yeah, that's a great question, Kevin, because I think one of the worst feelings is when a person dies with a dream, or a person's feeling like they're dying because they're not fulfilling their dream. And one of the things that I try to tackle in the work that I do, in the speaking and the preaching that I do, is I try to tell people that your dream starts one step at a time. It doesn't start with this big grand gesture that you have to get everything done that day and you have to do everything, and whatever you dreamed and whatever you imagine has to happen that second. I tell people one step at a time is success. I think we're too hard on ourselves when it comes to our dream. I think we compare our neighbors and we compare our friends and family, and we go, man, this person's doing that, and that person's fulfilling their career, but that person has their own stuff they're dealing with. We have to focus on our own dream, step by step by step. Imagine you doing something one step closer to your dream each day, whether that's opening up a social media page or starting a free podcast, or doing something that people think doesn't make you money, or people think doesn't bring you before people. But imagine taking one step at a time. In 100 days, you've taken 100 steps closer to your dreams. Now, if you sit there and not do anything, you're 100 steps further from your dreams. So I think people think dreams and clarity is this huge thing. But I think if people take step by step by step by step and not put these huge expectations on themselves and say, I'm going to do this small thing today and watch what happens. I'm going to do this small thing today and watch what happens. I think God gives us an innate ability, a dream. Everybody has a dream inside them. And one of my jobs that I love to do is find your God-given purpose, find your reason for being here, find your dream, and taking small steps toward that dream instead of overwhelming yourself. A lot of people overwhelm themselves even before they start the dream.
Yeah, absolutely. So, in that vein, my friend, I'm curious to ask you this morning about growing with confidence and purpose and what that means to you, my friend.
Yeah, I think purpose breeds confidence. You see a you see a person walk different when they have purpose. You see somebody talk different when they have purpose. When somebody has purpose in their life, they move with a purpose, they breathe with a purpose, they look with a purpose. Everything they do is with a purpose. That's why some CEOs charge hundreds of thousands of dollars an hour for their time. There's some CEOs that charge $50,000 an hour just to sit down with them because their time is valuable, their purpose is valuable. And when you find your purpose, you found everything. A lot of people call it your why. I was teaching at my church a few weeks ago about why. What is your why? Why are you here? Is it because of your mom? Is it because of your illness? Is it because of your daughter, your son, your family member? Is it because you have purpose? Whatever your why is the reason why you wake up in the morning. Whatever your why is, breeds your purpose. And confidence comes when purpose is so clear that it's undeniable. Purpose should be so clear on you that it's undeniable. When you think of Tiger Woods, you think of golf. When you think of Michael Jordan, you think of basketball. When you think of certain people, you think of their purpose, you think of their calling, you think of what God placed them on earth. And anybody who's listening today, I want to tell you that make sure your purpose and clarity is so big that it's undeniable that nobody can even shake you.
Yeah, absolutely. And tell me why people should value their faith in messaging, my friend. Why do you think that's important to you, my friend?
I think faith is something that's personal to me, and I think faith is personal to everybody. And I think the problem with faith is why we're scared to show our faith or why we're scared to show what we believe in is because we're so external driven. I think in this society at this time, we think about what will people think of me? What will people say about me? What will people believe about me? But faith is personal. If I share my faith, I personally believe in Jesus Christ. That's my faith. But I can't be scared to show my faith because somebody doesn't like it. Maybe I'm running into someone of a different faith, or maybe I'm running into someone who doesn't believe in God. Well, they share their faith boldly. They share their faith however they want to, and I have to sit there and listen to it. Well, when I share my faith, I want to be as bold as possible and also respectful as possible at the same time. I think there's a lot of people of faith that don't say it because they're too scared of other person's reaction. That's the whole idea of faith. It's putting yourself out there, believing something, believing in what you believe in. I believe in God. So I put myself out there. I put my faith out there and I believe, and I see miracles happen every day. I'm a walking miracle. I'm a talking miracle. I shouldn't be alive. I shouldn't even be alive today. But in my personal opinion, God saw fit to put me on this earth. So I'm going to share my faith. I'm not going to be mean about it. I'm not going to bash people over the head. But I believe that if you stand for something, if you believe something, that people will respect you more than whenever you're in a room with this person, you're of this faith, or whenever you're around this person, you can't waver with your faith. You got to be strong. You got to be bold. Because if you don't believe in your faith, nobody's going to believe in you. There's nothing worse than someone who wavers when someone else is around. I think faith is personal. And if faith is personal to you, then you have to walk out your personal convictions. And I think that's respectable.
Yeah, absolutely. And Mike, I know a big part of your new effort, my friend, is how like we will develop messages that are both authentic, that come from the heart, and with intention. So, what does it mean to authentically deliver messages from the heart and with intention, my friend? What does that mean to you?
Yeah. I think any great person who's ever done anything great in life has done it with intention. Any great person, if you look at scholars, if you look at lawyers, if you look at CEOs, if you look at great mothers and great fathers, they do things with intention. And when you do things with intention, people will smell the conviction on you. They'll just see the conviction on you. And I think when you're intentional about what you do, it breeds great results. I was watching a documentary on Tiger Woods, and he said before a tournament, he has to do thousands of contacts on a ball. He has to hit the ball thousands of times on every shot to get his feels in his hands, to get his feels in his feet, to get his feels, because he's so intentional about winning tournaments. He comes in the tournament thinking he's going to win, no matter what shape he's in. He's been through unthinkable things physically, major surgeries over and over and over. But he comes into every tournament with the same preparation because his intention is to win the tournament. And I think in life, we can learn something from great people who've accomplished a lot because their intention is always from the heart. It's always spot on. You can tell the person's intention by what's in their heart.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about identity, purpose, and communication, and creating, boundaries of intention. And what I mean by that is, every great plan has expectations, but if you don't set boundaries in terms of achieving goals, it's hard to keep moving the goalposts. And I know for you that creating identity, purpose, and communication is a big part of what you're speaking about, my friend. So talk to me about identity, purpose, and creating authentic communication and what that means to your body.
Yeah, absolutely, Kevin. The thing about boundaries is we're always worried about other people's opinion when it comes to boundaries. Um, a lot of times we're in bad situations, bad things are happening to us, but we're so worried about someone else's opinion about boundaries that we don't think about our own boundaries. A lot of people struggle with anxiety and they felt it every single day and they don't even know what they're feeling. They don't even think about what they're feeling. A lot of people struggling with mental problems and mental issues, and they don't even know what they're feeling on a daily basis because they're so used to the struggle. And when you get so used to the struggle, when you get so used to bad situations, it becomes normal. I tell people when I'm counseling people or I'm speaking or preaching about relationships, when you're in a toxic relationship, sometimes when God blesses you with a better relationship, you go, "Oh no, that person's too nice. That person's too good to me. I don't need a good person. I need somebody who's toxic." Because when you're used to toxic, toxic feels good. And a lot of times we deserve better for our life. We deserve better for our relationships. We deserve better for our family. But we're so used to unhealthiness and we're so used to toxic. We have to get ourselves used to health. A lot of people eat bad or eat unhealthy, and myself included. I don't eat the best. But my intention is when I do eat healthy, I'm trying to get in a mindset of saying health food tastes good, it feels better. I'm trying to get out of the toxic mindset of saying these bad foods feel better and taste better. I'm trying to train my mind to do the opposite of what I've been doing for years. It's a training, it's a process. Whenever you're trying to get toxicity out of your body, it's a training because toxicity, it flows a different way. There's people in relationship with toxic attachments. They call it love. They say, this is love, but it's not love. A lot of times it's toxic attachment. We have to watch out for those things in life.
Yeah, absolutely. And Mike, I'm going to give you the space to talk about your own life, buddy, and why your faith is important to you. And you mentioned a little bit earlier about you're not even supposed to be here, buddy. So tell me about why you live every day with intentional intention and how that's impacted your own personal life, buddy.
Yeah, a little bit about my story. Um, Growing up in the US, I struggled with just like anything a teenager or young adult would, struggle with identity crises. I struggle with what was my purpose. I knew from a young age I was called to preach. I knew from God I was called to preach. But during that journey, I, there's been times where I've doubted myself. There's been times I've doubted my own story. And I've come to the age and the realization that the more you doubt yourself, the surroundings will show. The more you doubt your purpose, the surroundings will show. The more you doubt what you're supposed to be doing, there'll be a manifestation of it come in the outer world of what you feel in your inner world. And I'm a firm believer that once you're called to something, you must stand firm. You must stand tall in that belief. No matter what you're going through, no matter what you feel like, no matter what you think life is, you have to will yourself. You have to call yourself. You have to pull out that God-given ability within yourself to say, to speak to your purpose, to speak to those family issues, to speak to those family problems, to speak to those suicidal thoughts, to speak to those depressive thoughts. You have to speak to that and call something out of yourself that God placed in you. You have to draw that strength. Each and every one of us has an inner strength inside of us that I believe that God put inside of you. Each and every one of us was created for a purpose, a reason, a faith, and ability. Every time I see your podcast, brother, every time I see you interview people, I'm like, this man is called to do this. You've been through health issues, you've been through health problems, but your purpose is driving you forward right now. You're here for a purpose and a reason. And it's so good to see you doing your purpose even after your health problems. And that's what I think the key to life is, that holding on to faith so tight, holding on to dreams so tight, holding on to your abilities so tight that no matter what you're going through, you stand firm and you stand strong and you say, one day I will be better. Today is my day. Today is my day for success. Today is my day for passion. Today is my day that I'm going to climb the new mountain, the new level. And I know it's hard sometimes, but we have to press ourselves forward. So when I say I'm not supposed to be here, I'm not supposed to be on this podcast. I'm not supposed to be here. Who said I was supposed to be here? But I had to believe in myself. I had to believe in the dream that God put in me. I had to believe in my faith, what I believe. I had to believe something that was way bigger than me. I had to believe to get here. So I want to today instill something in somebody who doesn't believe in themselves, that doesn't believe in their faith, that doesn't believe in their dream, that you can do it, you can make it, you can win. Write it down, get clarity, write your dream down clear, get clarity, and take one step at a time each day toward that. And I believe you'll be blessed by that.
Yeah, absolutely. And my friend, I want to talk to you about change because so many people are afraid to change and they're automatically more comfortable if they're in their comfort zone. But you say when people feel seen, equipped, and empowered, that change is easier, my friend. So talk about both professional and personal change and why embracing change can be a positive. What are your thoughts there, my friend?
Great question. I think change is the key to life. Change is one of the greatest keys to life. Because stagnation, let's talk about stagnation for a second. What does to be stagnant mean? It means to stay in the same place over and over and over. And a lot of people are in their comfort zone because it feels good. A lot of people haven't launched their business because it feels good. A lot of people haven't launched their family because it feels good to stay in the same place. I'm not doubting that not changing doesn't feel, it feels great to sit on the couch each day and just relax and to veg out and to watch TV and scroll. But at the end of the day, if you're not making changes, if you're not pushing yourself forward, you're not living. Change and risk go hand in hand. If you're not taking risk, I mean, calculated risk toward dreams, toward goals, toward future, if you're not doing those things, you're staying in the same place. And a lot of us in life are staying in the same place because it feels good. We're staying in wrong relationships because it feels good. We're staying in wrong jobs because it feels good to do so. But the things that feel good aren't always the best for us. I feel like eating fried foods every day. I do. I feel like eating wrong every day. I feel like not working out every day. I feel like sleeping, and I feel like doing those things. But if I don't change behavior, if I don't change these things, a lot of people talk a lot about what they're going to do. But you have to be about it. You have to be about that life. You have to be about your business to change. Because once you start to change, you start to see movement happen. And when you start to see movement happen, then God begins to bless you on a level that you've never seen. We have to understand that change can be hard, change can be risky, change can be rocky, change can be tough. But when you change toward the right direction, there'll be miracles that happen.
Yeah, and Mike, I'm also curious to ask you, how do you think faith and inclusion can affect the type of messaging we can cultivate, and how faith impacts our societal buying decisions, my friend, and where we put our money, because faith and inclusion can be two driving factors when making economic decisions too. And I'm wondering your thoughts behind that concept, my friend.
Yes. I don't know. Do you all have Chick-fil-A in Canada?
We certainly do, buddy.
Okay. Okay. Chick-fil-A is a faith-based business. But you wouldn't know Chick-fil-A, a person wouldn't know Chick-fil-A is a faith-based business because they're there to sell chicken. They're there to sell chicken products. They're there to sell waffle fries and Polynesian sauce and whatever sauces they have. They're there to sell their chicken salad or whatever they have on their menu. But their driving factor for a lot of people, they come because of faith, they leave for the food. They meaning they're coming with the intention of, I'm going to support this faith-based business. But after they taste the food, they're like, wow, I'm here to support the food. When you're so good at what you do, faith becomes a part of you. When you're so good and it's so undeniable about their purpose, Chick-fil-A service is second to none. How may I help you? My pleasure. It's so good to see you. Thank you so much. The people there, for the most part, are so nice and so kind. So there's different ways to include people in circles. There's different ways for inclusion. There's different ways for faith. A lot of people think faith is flagging a Bible over somebody's neck and bumping a Bible over their head and saying, this is my faith and you're going to believe. If you don't believe, that's one version of people's faith. But another version is a smile. My dad used to say, he said, son, the only Bible people are going to see is the one on your face, is the smile. The only Bible people are going to read is how you reflect in society. The only Bible that some people read is the one that speaks out of your mouth. Faith is not a church building, although I believe church is important. I'm a pastor myself. I believe church is important. I believe in my faith, church attendance is important. But faith is not a church building. Faith is not a speech. Faith is not a sermon. It is a way of life. Inclusion is not something we put on banners. It's not a poster. It's something we do in life. So when you see companies, when you see people working in faith and inclusion, it becomes a part of them. And when something becomes a part of you, it's a beautiful thing. It is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And my friend, I've got two questions for you in terms of what we just talked about, faith and business, because new research from Science Direct looked at loyalty and trust in American consumer buying behavior, my friend, and it found that 65% of American consumers prefer franchises that align with their faith and demonstrating a strong connection between their religious values and brand loyalty, my friend. So I'm curious to continue this part of our conversation by asking you what immediately comes to mind when you hear that 65% of American consumers are driven to spend money based on their faith, my friend. What are your thoughts there?
Well, for the audience listening, we have one of the best podcasters. Kevin, you're awesome with your facts and your facts and your stats. I love what you bring to the table, brother. But I think people are looking for authenticity. I mean, there's atheists that will go to an establishment that wears their faith on their sleeve because people are looking for something authentic. And if you have a business, you better be authentic. You better live what you're saying. You better walk how you preach, because people don't like fake. And with artificial intelligence coming already here, already taking over, which is a blessing and a curse at the same time, we can use AI for good. But with so many, in 5 or 10 years, even sooner, the market's going to be saturated so heavily with online AI businesses, online AI content. There's going to be so much things. The AI content that we look at today, with a lot of the mouths not moving correctly and a lot of the things, some AI videos, you can tell it's AI, and you can tell it's AI from the start. But that's going to flush out. There's going to be such a realistic culture of AI where you won't know the difference. You won't know who you're speaking to. You're going to call places. It's going to be straight AI. They're going to be helping you out, and you don't even know. With all of that said, people are looking for authenticity. And I think there's nothing more real than faith. And the reason why people gravitate, you read the statistics, the reason why people gravitate so heavily of businesses that wear their faith on their sleeve or some sort of faith-based affiliation, because they know they're being real. They know, because in order to put your faith in a business, there's a risk and a reward. There's a risk and a reward that you're going to lose people, but you're also going to gain people who want to see you. So what I would tell to business owners, if you're including your faith in your business, what I would say, do it in a natural way, number one, and make sure your product's excellent. Don't have a bad product and talk about you believe in Jesus. don't have a bad product and say, I'm selling this food and the customer service is mean and the food's old. Don't flag Jesus over me and have a bad product, right? Make sure your faith lines up with the quality of your product. You have to be putting out a good product. We're telling people in the workplaces, if you work a regular job and you're bringing your faith to work, or you're bringing your Bible to work, that's fine. But make sure you don't show up late to work. Make sure you're not getting smart and mad with your boss. Make sure you're not mean to your family while you're talking about your faith. I believe faith and attitude has to go hand in hand. And the reason why faith resonates with a lot of consumers is because they're looking for something real. They're looking for something real. And I believe faith is real.
Yeah, and Mike, as you know, I have a tremendous amount of faith that we are going to change the way that we look at people with disabilities in the workplace. You know, back on December the 3rd, earlier this month, we celebrated the International Day for Persons with Disabilities, buddy, and bringing this back to a faith discussion. You know, research also indicates that 60 million American adults have an annual purchasing power of more than $2 trillion within the faith community, my friend. So how can we make sure that we extend the faith-based community from a business perspective, and how can we include people with disabilities more readily in the workforce? What are your thoughts there, my friend?
I think one of the greatest things in my faith in Christianity, one of the greatest things that Jesus did was he touched persons of disabilities. He talked about the lame, and he talked about the sick, he talked about the deaf, he talked about the mute. And he talked about all these things more than we talk about them in our society today. And one of the things that I can learn from Jesus is, if you think about Jesus, his whole focus, his whole healing ministry was about healing people who couldn't see, who couldn't walk, who couldn't talk, who had what we call disabilities. And one of the things that we can learn from him is that when you think a person is different from you, you must reach out to that person. You cannot be in your same circles. You can't be in your same faith circles. You can't be in your same friend circles. You can't be in your same church circles or whatever you believe. You have to reach out to people that you feel are different than you. And I think persons with disabilities are some of the most beautiful people on the planet because they've embraced their difference and they're trying to make a change on this earth. So what I would say to faith community leaders and faith organizers, that we have to do a better job of reaching out to the people that we normally don't reach out to, and reach out to people of different backgrounds, whether that persons of disabilities, women, men, children, black, white, Asian, poor, rich. We have to reach out to people and not be so in our circles that we forget things. That, I mean, in order, I was watching. I was watching. I like to watch tennis sometime. One of the
Mm-hmm.
greatest one of the greatest things in tennis is to watch the wheelchair tennis. Wheelchair tennis is way harder than regular tennis. I can stand on my feet and hit a ball, but to be able to maneuver around, because you have to use your energy for two things. You have to maneuver around your chair and you have to hit. And one of the greatest tennis players, Novak Djokovic, they put him in a chair and said, "Can you do it?" And he tried to do it and couldn't because his skill set and his ability wasn't what the wheelchair men and women are. So I just think that us in the faith have to do a better job of reaching out to persons of disabilities and, all people of all backgrounds, because in my faith, I believe that we're all a part of God's kingdom, not just a certain few that we deem to be important. I believe that everybody's important.
Yeah, absolutely. And my building on that feeling of community, faith, and inclusion, my friend. How do you think we can use all three of those things to to break down barriers and build community? Because faith is all about building inclusive communities. So how can we use for faith, communication, and inclusion to build community in your view, my friend?
Well, in the US here, I can speak to the climate that goes on. We have a heavy political climate here in the US where there's evangelical faith-based people, then there's DEI people, then there's Democrats, then there's Republicans. And we don't think about the least of these anymore. We don't think about the people in need. We don't think about the people in help anymore. All we do in the US is look at people through our political lens. So, an issue like helping the poor, it becomes such a complicated issue in the political landscape because we don't think of it through the eyes of humanity. We don't think of our fellow sister or brother needing help. All we think of is through a conservative or liberal mindset. And when you think of things through a political mindset, you can't help people. We have to set politics aside. We have to set these things aside. When it comes to helping people and doing right, we have to do right because it's the right thing to do. And throughout every country, throughout every touching every part of the world, the problem with these political agendas and the problem with these mindsets of thinking from liberal and conservative mindsets. Some people, I'm a liberal. That's it. I'm a conservative. That's it. I'm independent. That's it. Well, I'm a human being. I'm a child of God. That's who I am. So when it comes time to helping people, we have to help people no matter their background and their political affiliation because we're so engulfed in the media. I know in the US, when a politician comes on, it puts on when they come on a video or the television, they put on their political affiliation. Well, I want to know what they have to speak about. I want to know what they have to say rather than their political affiliation. We've got so involved with everything is so politics based that we forget to help people. Helping the poor is a basic human need issue. It's not a political issue. You know, I can go on and on about how we've inserted and injected politics in things that politics shouldn't be in. These should be neutral things that we can all come behind. And the problem with the DEI message and the problem with the faith message through a political lens is the things that we have in common, we can't come in common ground with because we're so busy looking at people's political beliefs. And it's really a shame. We can do a lot of things as humans together. We can come together as human beings if we would set our differences aside and learn to talk with each other in a civil manner while respecting each other and say, how can we come to some common ground with this issue? How can we come to some common ground with daycare or feeding the poor or early childhood education? There's so many things that we can come to common ground, but we're looking at things through a political perspective, and we have to get out of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And Mike, I got three questions left for you. And the first of those three questions is this, my friend. For those that didn't see our first conversation, you've got experience in the trucking industry, buddy. Before you transition to the work you're doing now, you spent the first half of your professional career in that industry, buddy. And I'm curious, how does your experience in that industry really aid you in the work that you do today, my friend? Why is your trucking experience a competitive advantage in the speaking realm of things, buddy?
Yeah, I've spoken to trucking companies. I've worked in trucking companies for a lot of years. That's where I cut my teeth in the business industry is in trucking. The reason why I like trucking, I knew I liked trucking at an early age because I always liked geography. Geography was my favorite subject in school. I love to look at maps. I love to look at the sociology of how people live in different parts of the world and different parts of the US in particular. And I love, to this day, I love looking at maps. And it's funny because I'm bad at directions. So I love looking at maps outside a car. When I'm in a car, I don't know. I don't know. I'm still working on that, Kevin. I'm still working on that inside a car. But don't send me anywhere, but I'm good at, if I'm stationary sitting down, I love looking at globes, looking at maps, looking at continents, looking at how people live. I think that's why I gravitated toward the trucking industry. And it's a perfect transition into speaking and coaching and preaching, because when I do travel and preach and speak at different places, I get to meet different people. Or if I'm doing it virtually, I'm getting to meet, for years I have a brother from Canada. His name is Kevin. That's you, and I get to talk to you, and I get to meet you, and we get to develop a business friendship here, and it's just such a blessing to meet people from different parts of the globe, to meet different people from different parts of America. I just love that. I love geography. I love, I love looking at maps and studying how people's different accents and where they live, and, how their different climates change. It's really cool. So it's right up my alley what I'm doing now. And it started in the trucking industry.
Yeah, absolutely. And Mike, as we end our time together this morning, I'm going to end with a two-part question because I'm interested for your final thoughts to the business community and the faith community about leading with clarity and confidence, and whether or not you believe in the promise of prosperity in life and in business, my friend. What are your thoughts then?
Yeah, I think I think the promise of prosperity is how you frame it, is how you look at it. A mother taking care of her children is prosperity to me. A father coming home after a long day and they can't even bend over, but they bend over and hug their son or their daughter, or they're a caretaker after they've worked full time themselves. And we're in a generation where it's so externally gratifying. We're looking for the quick sugar fix. We're looking for the quick moment on Instagram. But a lot of times we have to realize we're doing better than we think. A lot of times we have to realize that the promise of prosperity comes to those who frame it right. It comes to those who have a right perspective in life, because someone could look at you and wish they were you, and you could look at your own life and wish you were somebody else. Comparison, we always hear this, that comparison is the greatest thief of our joy. When we compare our life to others, the promise of prosperity will never come. When we compare our dreams to others, the promise of prosperity can never come. We have to look at prosperity and success and dreams and goals in a different perspective. And like I was saying earlier, one step at a time, one moment at a time, patting yourself on the back, not setting your goals so lofty. You can have a big, lofty future goal, but you have to break that goal in bite-sized pieces. So I believe the pillars of success, I believe the pillars of community, I believe the pillars of faith and the pillars of God come to those who frame things correctly. Come to those who look at their life and are grateful for their current life. Because if you're grateful for your current life, more things will come. Gratitude produces prosperity and success. For those out there who feel like they're struggling with the pillars of prosperity, they feel like they're struggling with the pillars of success, they feel like they're struggling with these pillars and these entities, I want to encourage you today that you're doing better than you think, that your moment is not coming, but your moment is here. The thing that you're doing right now is very important. The caretaking you're doing, the job that you're working, the feeding your family, the paying your rent, the feeding yourself, the taking care of your mother or your father, or going along on your dream, and you feel like you're just floating in air. But what you're doing, the work you're doing now is very important. And I want to encourage everybody who's listening that you're doing better than you think. And the pillars of prosperity will come when you calm down on beating yourself down, when you calm down on being so hard on yourself, and you start to realize that you're doing better than you think, and your moment is not to come, but your moment is now.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a powerful way to end things, my friend. And tell me, Mike, if people want to get connected with all the great work that you're currently doing, what's the best way they can do that?
Yeah, I have some social media. I'm not I'm new to the social media world, but I have some people helping me out and managing some social media accounts that put out my stuff. So I'm basically everywhere at Mike Harts Now. That's MikeHartsNow, Mike Harts Now. You can find me on various social media platforms at Mike Harts Now. And I'm excited to connect with you on social media so some people can hear some of the, the messages that are coming out. But I'm active. I'm starting to be active on YouTube. So I want people to check out my YouTube at Mike Harts Now.
Absolutely. Well, Mike, it's always great to see you. Thanks for engaging in conversation about all of the great work that you're doing behind that both faith, leadership, and building an inclusive community, my friend. And as I said, it's always great to see you, and thanks for engaging in conversation with me this morning. It's most appreciated.
Thank you for having me, Kevin. You're the best, my brother. I appreciate you. Much success. Bless you, brother.